Commissioner Malema.
No, thank you very much. Good morning, CJ, and good morning, Judge. Just a follow-up. The CJ asked how many reserve judgments do you have? You said 5. But I saw somewhere there Nadel said 7, so I just wanted to reconcile that.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Malema, and you're quite correct. There is a discrepancy in the comments. The GCB indicated that it was 5 at the time that I submitted my form, and I think it was Nadal pointed to the correct number at that time, which was 7. So that was an error in the GCB's comment, I think. So the correct position was at the time that I submitted my form, there were 7 reserve judgments. But as I sit here now, none of those are outstanding, and there's only 1 new reserve judgment that's still within the 3-month period.
You cleared them for this purpose?
So,
You
sorry?
cleared them for this purpose?
I always clear my judgments.
No, they were outstanding not so long ago, and before you come here, they are all cleared.
Well, I'll clear all of my judgments. I will pick up, I have quite a heavy role, and I will be accumulating judgments all the time. So the approach that we need to follow is always to clear our judgments.
What is your take on the current constitution? Does it allow expropriation of land without compensation?
Commissioner, I do need to be guided in some measure. I would like to answer that question, but I do need to be guided in some measure by the Chief Justice, because I need to be cautious about it, because it's an issue that can come before us. So the approach I adopted in my first interview was to indicate that I'm comfortable approaching it at a high level, but mindful that before I can ever make a decision on an issue of that sort, I would need to fully hear argument about from both sides, because it is a live issue and it will come before us. Chief Justice, are you comfortable with me proceeding?
Yes, in the same way you did the last time.
All right.
From
Thank
a
you,
high
Chief
level.
Justice. At a high level, yes.
Yeah.
And by prefacing what I say with that, I couldn't decide that without fully hearing argument. So my view, thank you, Commissioner. I mean, it's obviously a very important question that matters to a lot of South Africans, and there are, and it is going to have to be squarely decided by courts in one would hope in the relatively near future. As I see it, there can be no real debate about whether the Constitution properly applied permits of nominal compensation. I can't see how that's debatable, because even if one looks at the factors that are set out expressly in Section 25(3), even just by applying a mathematical formula, for example, if you look at the extent of state subsidy that may have been given to a white farmer in the past, and then you look at market value, or you can easily come up with a calculation that gets you to a zero balance. I think the more difficult debate is whether properly construed, the Constitution permits of 0 as opposed to nominal compensation. And there I've read different arguments, and I don't know the answer. I'd really need to hear argument on it. But I do think that there are, given our history, there are compelling reasons that the Constitution fully embraces why there should be departures from market value compensation.
So will it be within the Constitution?
You're on a bad question, and the agreement was 2 per commissioner.
Huh?
The agreement among the commissioners, which you know, it dates back even before I started chairing this body, is that commissioners ask only 2 questions. 2 questions per commissioner per candidate.
Oh,
Yes.
Judge Mlambo didn't ask 2 questions. I was here. I listened to him. He didn't ask 2 questions. Unless there's some right reserved for other commissioners. I'm prepared to leave this question here, but in reality, if you go back to
JP
check the
Mlambo asked
record,
1 question.
JP Mlambo did not ask.
Commissioner
questions.
Malema, we are wasting time debating how many questions should be asked. Just ask your question and keep it as brief as possible. But
Thank
that does not mean I'll be lenient with other commissioners.
Thank you. No, I just wanted to ask, will it be unconstitutional to pass a bill which allows the state to be a custodian of the land with the fully land use rights guaranteed, that no one loses anything, the state owns the land, and whatever remains, whatever is on the land remains in the pockets and the hands of those who are using that particular land, like we did with the minerals and like we did with water. What's your take on that?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have to be I'm aware of the political debate, and I've followed the political debates, which I find, they're important debates, and they speak to matters that are very important to South Africans. I don't know the answer, and I haven't heard, to be honest, I haven't engaged it in a legal sense. I've thought about it in a political sense. So I haven't, the truthful answer is I haven't sat down and tried to work it out from a legal point of view. But I do think that if one just thinks about it from a, as one, and I think there may be differences. I'm just not thinking aloud, which perhaps I shouldn't do. The simple answer is I don't know the answer. I think state can, at least in some cases, be a very useful modality to secure justice as a policy position, but that's just my own sense. I haven't thought through the legalities.
Thank you, CJ.
Commissioner Marumo Achai.
Thank you very much, CJ.